different directions have different elastic modulus. Say 100 directions are usually softer and 111 directions are hard. Meaning stiffness is more along 111 direction, stiffness is low along 100 directions. Then the precipitate that will form will be of disc shape and the broad face will be parallel to 100 so that the broad face it will try to maintain the coherence, and there will be incoherent, these edges will be incoherent. Okay, so any strain that is taken care of along the 10, if it is 100 plane, then along 010 direction and 010 directions the strain is accommodated. Ultimately what I want to say, for coherent precipitate, if strain energy is important, then it will be of disc shape. If if strain energy is important, coherent precipitate will be of disc shape. And so we talked about coherent and incoherent, and partially coherent precipitate, you know that one of the interface, the broad face is the coherent and this is incoherent, and that coherency decreases if the thickness increases. If the thickness becomes high, then the coherency of the broad face also decreases. So shape of a precipitate depends on interfacial energy, their anisotropy, it's the strain energy, and strain energy in turn depends on the elastic modulus of the matrix versus precipitate. For example, here if they are same, then it will be of disc shape. If they are different, then it will be a disc shape. If they are same, then it will be a spherical. If it is different, then it will be disc shape. So when a particle, say assume this one, when a particle is small and coherent, if it is a spherical precipitate, because this will give you a spherical precipitate, then V is your 4/3 pi r cube, so your delta GS will be 8 mu delta square, that is the main strain energy, because your coherent interface has very low gamma I. From among these two, this is almost negligible for a coherent interface, and it will be of 8 mu delta square. Now as it is growing, because volume is more and more, it will lose its coherency, because strain energy will be very high, and as a result your coherent interface, your strain will be more. So what it will try to do is try to bring misfit dislocations over the interface having a particular distance between them. So between two misfit dislocations it is more coherent, but whatever the lattice strain is taken care of by the misfit dislocations. Now if strain is more and more, those misfit dislocations are coming closer, so dislocation density increases, So that semi-coherent interface, so coherent interface becomes semi-coherent by introducing dislocations, and that semi-coherent interface becomes incoherent when dislocation density is very high, so that dislocations are very close, their cores are overlapping, so it becomes totally incoherent interface. Okay. In that case, if it is incoherent interface, your means interfacial energy will be 4 pi r square gamma. So interfacial energy of that, of a spherical precipitate, so when the coherency for a particular size of r, this coherency is being lost. So till that time your main energy was 8 mu delta square, and when coherency is lost, it is incoherent, energy is this one. So that will give you till which size it can grow, still maintaining its coherency, and beyond which it can lose its coherency. So R will be your what did I write? So it will be 6 mu delta square multiplied by 4/3 pi r cube. Then it will be 8 mu delta square pi r cube this side. 8 mu delta square pi r cube this side. So complete loss of coherency occurs when the energy of an incoherent interface becomes equal to that of the coherency strain. And usually it is found that if you calculate this R through this equation, this R is very, very large, much larger than critical size nucleus radius. That means when nucleation happens, always it is a coherent embryo. That coherent embryo slowly grows, it becomes partly coherent, and then it loses, so it becomes incoherent later. And shape of the coherent or semi-coherent nucleus is governed by the relative values of the elastic constants and magnitude of mismatch delta and your anisotropy of the surface energies. Shape depends on gamma I, we discussed. Shape depends on delta GS. Delta GS in terms depends on mu of matrix, mu of precipitate. And when we talked about interfacial energy of different planes, we have different interfacial energy. So you know Widman-Staten structure. What is Widman-Staten structure? Just in general knowledge. So when precipitate maintains an orientation relationship, when those precipitate forms, they form usually with a habit of either plate type or rod type or needle type of a particular shape or lattice shape. When they form on maintaining a particular orientation relationship. And maintaining a particular orientation relationship, there can be different variants. Variants meaning, if for example HCP and BCC, close packed planes are maintaining, for example titanium alloy, in BCC matrix HCP alpha precipitate form. Close packed planes of BCC are 110 type. So 0001 can form. So how many OAs? and 110 has two diagonals, polydiagonals. So either of these two can be parallel to one of the A1, A2 or A3 of HCP. And there are two
directions.
but this is not good. So okay, but the main point is maintaining an orientation relationship, because there are multiple 111 type or multiple 110 type, and in each multiple that type of equivalent directions, so number of variants, so number of different ways these orientation relationships can be maintained is numerous, more than one. Okay, so those are variants. So when we, this type of precipitate forms, they can be of different orientations also. Different orientation, each of them having a same orientation relationship, but different plane of one of those 111, one of those 110. So that type of structure is called Riemann-Serre structure. Okay, thank you.